Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Heartland Mamas. I'm Marie Brio.
And I'm Heidi Henry, coming to you from two socially distant studios at the edge of the Great Red Divide. On Tuesdays and Thursdays at 3 p.m., the Heartland Mamas bring you the progressive news and views that you can use from the edge of the Great Red Divide. We have previous episodes at Heartland Mamas, mamas.com, on all podcast platforms, YouTube, and proudly part of the Demcast USA network. Today, we're in the last 24 hours of the Trump presidency, whenever you're watching this or listening to it. And Murray and I have had a series that we've done off and on called A Twit, This Week in Trump. And we wanted to kind of recap all the crap that we've had to deal with since I knitted my first pink cap, kitty ear cap, back in 2017. And Murray, oh my God. So we're going to recap the Trump presidency from the, oh, hell no, he didn't do that. So let's talk about that.
Yeah, for all of the horror, if the magnitude of what he had done wasn't so serious, it would have been a hilarious time. Okay, I'm sorry. It's just going to be funny as hell because we started from his very first with the inauguration lying about the audience.
The size of the crowd.
Right. So he started with, he actually had pictures photoshopped to make it look like there were more there and put in the White House. And the first thing his press secretary does is comes out and says that you were lying. There were more crowds there. There were more people there than anybody. And we're all like, oh, shit. This is not going to go well. We are headed down a bad path here.
Bad path. And, that's why the next day after the inauguration, millions of women around the world wore our pink hats. I've got my straw one here. And we marched around the our capitals, or in my case, we went to Chicago. That one's pretty beat up from
and
all the
of the women who marched. And I went to D.C. And all the women that I went with and everyone that I met, whether you marched in Chicago or Ottawa or D.C., all knew that this was going to be a nightmare. And they were correct. Hey, listen to the ladies, boys. Vagina, it knows. It knows.
Yes. We did not storm the Capitol. We just marched.
Oh, but then remember, his presidency had the very stable genius, and he only hires the best people.
The very best people. The very best
people. How many of those very best people have been indicted or pardoned? Or at this point, do we even have a running count at this point? Isn't it like 729?
You can kind of tell that it hasn't gone well for him because he doesn't want to have anything to do with the Biden inauguration tomorrow at noon. So he's trying to distance himself by picking up his toys and leaving for Mar-a-Lago early. And I still don't know how he's going to do that when he's not supposed to spend more than 7 days there. But he's leaving and he wants to have this big military send-off, right? With flyover jets and military bands. And the military said, no, we're busy. We've got other things going on.
Even Mike Pence isn't going to be there because he's going to be at the inauguration. They invited Michael Cohen got an invitation. Okay. Michael Cohen got an email invitation. They are desperate for attendance. Only the best, baby. Only the best.
So all the best people.
Man, woman, TV, camera, food. What was it? No, wait. That was here proving his stability, proving how cognizant he is was the 5 words. What were the 5 words?
Person, woman, man, camera, TV.
That's it. And he bragged about that cognitive test and how he passed it. And gave 5 words. We know it was indeed.
I had a parent with dementia and another parent with a traumatic brain injury before they died, and those were the same questions they would ask them. They'd show them like flashcards, and then a few minutes later they'd say, "What flashcards did I show you? Person, woman, man, camera, TV." Unfortunately, my parents...
It was a basic competency test, like what they gave the old guy who said he was Santa Claus in Miracle on
Right.
34th
Alzheimer's.
Street, right? Like it was hilarious.
He probably had
Oh,
to do
but yeah,
this too. You know.
yeah. Well, and there were a lot of questions because he couldn't drink water. He leaned forward.
Oh no, here.
Do you remember at
I'm gonna
his
drink
rally
water
the
right
day
now.
after he? Oh yeah, wait. No, oh, you did way too fast. You are way too,
Oh,
way too competent on. There you go. Oh, she's got it, ladies and gentlemen. Heidi just did a perfect imitation of drinking
I mean,
water
the cup is too big though, because remember he always drinks out of those little tiny cups.
to make his hands look normal sized.
Is that it?
That's
Right,
it.
because
Totally.
you have to remember the ridiculous clown suits that he wears. He wears his suits. Now,
Okay,
anybody.
okay, stop right. I'm so sorry. One of the things that is not necessarily funny, it's offensive to me, is how here is a man who is president of the United States and they don't have a goddamn tailor. His pants hung weird, his coats
No,
were oversized, he
Murray,
looked
Murray,
sloppy.
this
Do you
is
remember when he
somebody.
went to the UK and he was in that tux?
Oh my God! You have to remember, I'm somebody who has battled my weight most of my life up and down, and famously made a lot of money losing weight at one point, but not famously, but did. And when you're heavy, you wear these big clothes because you think it camouflages you, but it just makes you look worse. And then he gets those custom long ties that'll go over his enormous
That
gut.
they hang to his knees.
You know?
I don't know. It's so weird. Dude.
Who does
Yeah,
that? I mean,
no one.
I'm telling you,
No
whoever
one.
decided a tie was a good look for a man was a fool anyway. They look like their tongue is sticking out, and his are just ridiculous.
Well,
But
Heidi,
do you remember
beside of
when
fashion, I needed to tell you, one of my moments was when we battled windmill cancer driving to his rally
Oh
in
God, yeah.
2019, and we won. Windmill cancer. It gives you ear cancer. Windmills. Wind. That's one of the things that the very stable genius. I'm sorry. That was hilarious to me.
Was such a fool. I mean, I think about the stupid stuff he did. I mean, between sticking a blue light up your butt to cure COVID and injecting bleach, I mean, who knew? Who knew it was that easy?
Yosemites.
Like
The
healthcare.
Yosemites knew,
Yeah.
Heidi.
Oh my,
The
the
Yosemites knew.
Yosemites.
They knew.
One of my favorite national parks, Yosemite.
Right? What the hell? It's not as bad as the
Hey.
Greenlanders, when he wanted to buy Greenland.
Yeah, well, that caused a huge international problem because Denmark did not want to sell Greenland. And then remember the failed coup in Venezuela where he sent the hairy retired Bubbas,
Wasn't it like
and he tried to
three
take over
dudes?
Venezuela
He sent three dudes
Like
to
3 dudes.
Venezuela. Oh my God, yes.
to take it over because he needed his own banana republic. Right when this was all over, he needed some place to go
I
to
completely
avoid
forgot about that
extradition
one.
to this country. But remember the time when the truckers for Trump came to the White House? This was early in his presidency, and they brought their big 18-wheelers.
It's
and
so
they parked,
excited
and
like a little kid.
he gets in there and he's like, "Whoa, I'm gonna drive the truck! Beep beep!"
I think that was the only
It
moment
reminded
he
me of
showed any genuine emotion at all throughout his presidency.
He was so excited to have a big boy truck.
I think he would have been just as excited, though, if he'd have gotten to ride on the invisible fighter jets.
Oh, who knew that those invisible fighter jets didn't?
Wonder
weren't really-
Woman knew. She flew in an invisible jet, man. She went all around the world. She saved a ton of places in an invisible jet. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, the now soon to be leaving President of the United States thought that the F-35 fighter jet was actually invisible.
Invisible.
Apparently, he and Wonder Woman talked when they were trying to buy Greenland, and
Yeah.
I don't know, figured out that
They-
windmill cancer.
They get a discussion over a cup of Cofefe and Hamberders.
Cofefe and Hamberders. He didn't have the greatest of spelling, did he? Like, did he disable autocorrect?
I don't know. I don't know how anybody goes through life without autocorrect because I am not a good speller. So my life is autocorrect. So Murr, he was my dad used to call him the third-rate game show host. And, my dad was a hardcore Republican guy, and he used to say, oh, that Trump, he's a third-rate game show host. And, then when he became the heir apparent to the Republican Party, he's like, he's terrible. He's terrible. Well, now Trump wants to go back and reignite The Apprentice because he thinks that'll make him a star again. When you're a star, you can do anything, even grab people by the pussy. You can grab them
by the pussy.
But
right, they let you do it.
Guess what? Yeah, they just let you do it. No, if he did it to me, that'd be the last thing he did, So, but here's what the Screen Actors Guild did. They're like, no, we think we're going to just pull your card and then you can't do another Apprentice. Yay, SAG! I'm so proud of them for doing that. So do you remember before he took office, him saying, I won't, he was criticizing Obama for playing golf. And I think Obama played golf like 9 times in the year preceding the end of his presidency. And he said, oh, he's always playing golf. I'll never have time to play golf.
Criticism. For 12 years, he
we've spent $151 million. $151 million of our taxpayer money has gone to help Trump play golf.
So I was just reading a story, and I can't remember the publication, but it talks about the grift of the Trump administration with the utilization of his own properties. And in the beginning of in the beginning of his tenure, that was a big concern. And then the time he tried to buy Greenland and threw paper towels at Puerto Rico, we all forgot that he's making money off of the government paying for him to stay. So there's, my God, the guy is just...
Well, and they don't give him any reduced rates, for all the Secret Service he has to bring to stay at his Trump properties, and all the flights that he reroutes through Scotland, so they have to fuel up in Scotland near his golf course.
And not even mentioning, there was one that was the White House ended up paying a pre-election meeting from Mar-a-Lago, not just the dinner, or no, it was the state Chinese when Xi came over to the United States to Mar-a-Lago. Afterwards, they retired to a private room and racked up like $8,000 worth of drinks. And the Pentagon's like, well, we're not paying for this. And the State Department's like, that's not ours. So the White House ended up paying for it, which means it was us.
Yeah. Yes, it was us. So, but there's that kind of grift the entire time, all the time. It's the Trump International Hotel where people have to stay in Washington, D.C. There's, so many floors in Trump Tower in New York that have to be set aside for Secret Service. So many floors below and so many floors above. And a lot of these properties, Murray, before he took office, they weren't able to sell out, except for when he was doing the money laundering and for the Russian oligarchs. He would. Yeah. So
Jinx, buy me a dictator. Oh wait, we're getting rid of our dictator. That's right. Do you think Joe Biden is going to offer to nuke hurricanes?
Well, I don't know. I think they've taken all the Sharpies away so he can't change the path of a hurricane so that people have to evacuate from areas that are not going to be impacted by a hurricane because
Sharpies.
God, that was a disaster.
I'm going to miss Sharpies. Here are millions of people whose lives are depending on the National Weather Service and the government telling them whether they should stay or go. And the president lies about it. And then he decides to back his lie up with a freaking Sharpie. One day we're going to have to digest all of his enablers and why the hell anybody allowed this to go on the way.
Nobody stops him. I mean, why didn't Melania at least stop him from looking up at the eclipse with no glasses on?
On the eclipse. He's so
Remember
smart,
that?
right? But he didn't go blind, did he?
We don't think he did. I don't know.
I don't know, but I think one of the things that just showed his complete detachment from reality and gave me
Yeah.
countless enjoyment in his presidency was forest fires. His
Oh,
complete and
Murray,
utter lack of understanding of
of forest
anything,
management, of anything.
but forest management, raking the
It's like,
forest to prevent forest fires. I
do you
had fun.
remember?
We had Meta, Dan Muller. She was on our
Yeah.
show, remember?
Yeah.
Our Will County board member. She came on and talked to us. And she
Hmm.
oversees the forest preserve in Will County. And every time we go for a walk, I point out that they need to get raking those forests. It's a
Well,
I
and
love it.
remember,
It's
people in
hilarious.
Finland got their vacuum cleaners out. Remember, there was pictures of them vacuuming their forest. The Finns, they were having some fun at Donald Trump's expense, at our expense.
Oh my
Maybe they
god.
were kind of hoping, you know. So, but there's other things that he did that, you know, like he just couldn't get decorum right. He was always like pushing the Queen of England out of his way so he could walk in front of her,
Oh,
pushing the heads of other countries out of his way. That one
assassinating the
time in
second in command of a country. Little details, little things.
little detail. But you remember that time that he was so tired after like a G8 summit that he got in a golf cart. Everybody was walking along, and it was like a parade of world leaders going to someplace, and they had to get a golf cart because he just couldn't walk anymore.
I do. Now that you're right, yes, yeah.
Embarrassing. We're not the fittest people on the planet, apparently.
No, but our leader should be able to walk since he golfs
Um,
all the
well, he
time.
kind of waddles everywhere he goes. He takes a golf cart
It's those
there.
lifts in his shoes.
Well, those lifts to make him like, I mean, like he's Herman Munster size anyway.
It's because
And then
he's
he
trying
puts
to make
lifts.
him look thinner.
That's it. The big clothes, long ties, lifts in his shoes. I'm sorry. I should be 7 feet tall for my weight, but Trump, it doesn't work that way, baby. Here's here's one thing I was thinking of too, is he's like shoving people out of his way and so he could get to the front of the line when it's a short walk. Remember the time he tried to walk down the ramp and he couldn't do it?
And he had to have the general came up and escorted him off the ramp. And then at his rally the next day, he made a big
He
deal
tried
about
to
how
do
he
it.
really could
Yeah.
walk. That
And
was a
I
good one.
loved how I think there was a campaign thing like a few days later, and
Of
Biden
Joe
just like
Biden
ran up
walking.
the ramp
Yes,
and
yes,
ran down the
yes.
ramp, and he made sure the ramp was the same length and size and material. He's like, "Woo!" But when we were watching all the people running for office and all the people I went to go meet, I remember every time I saw Elizabeth Warren, she was running somewhere. She's a runner. I think she just runs and runs, but he just does so many stupid things, and we'll never be able to forget the time that he bombed Syria, but then was talking about his delicious piece of chocolate cake.
Cake.
Remember that? Remember that? Cake. He
Yeah.
was eating delicious chocolate cake. And
There's
so
so
that was his
many
focus.
reprehensible, absolutely. Well, I think I would say as he's heading out, since he had a failed coup, and
Yeah.
his
Yeah.
supporters looked cheap.
No, wait,
He's
wait, wait,
laid
wait, wait.
pretty low,
Kind of three failed
except
coups because he failed to buy Greenland. He failed to overthrow Venezuela. Now he failed to overthrow the United States. So I think
true.
that's three.
I'd
I think
say
that's three
three
failed
strikes, he's out. Well,
coups,
he's
Mer.
out in 24 hours. Thank the good Lord that he is going to be
Yeah.
out. But on his way out,
Well,
he
yeah.
I gotta say, um, he's just he's done nothing about anything since the election, or actually probably during his entire 4 years in
No.
office. And he signs an executive order last week for a National Garden of American Heroes. And this is because,
Murray.
if you remember, when various cities were taking down statues of Christopher Columbus or of Confederate soldiers or generals, as
Because he
societies are
gathered those up,
reckoning
put in a
with the
garden.
reality of what we have, and that we
Yeah.
need to acknowledge that, which is the 1776 report was just heinous in my opinion. Um,
Yeah.
here he is creating this garden of national memorial to the
Is Melania
statues.
is Melania uh, developing it?
It'll
Because
be
afterwards she went to the Rose Garden.
I know, I know. Well, some of the people that he wants, but this is what's funny about it is his legacy was a wall that never got built, that fell over in various spots. It was failed coups. It was insane beliefs and grifting. But his national statue park just sort of sums it all up.
Yeah.
He has people who are not from our country. He has
Does
people
he have
who.
Elvis? Is
No,
Elvis gonna be
Elvis is not a part of it. Ella
there? No.
Fitzgerald is, though.
That's weird.
I'd be
Maybe he
surprised.
would go for Elvis. You
Yeah,
know?
you would think that maybe Elvis would be
Yeah.
in there. I think he has Ava Braun.
Maybe he couldn't. Maybe he couldn't decide if he wanted Vegas Elvis or young Elvis. That was the
Oh, he'd
problem.
totally go with Vegas Elvis so that it'd make him look better.
Because he'd make him look thin. Yeah.
Right. And as he leaves,
And yeah.
I really want to make sure that it sums up, if you look very closely at that, it sums up his most recent and hopefully final act, other than the pardons, of the issuing the 1776 report, which really, really was absolutely awful in the
Yes.
way that he feels we need to extol the virtues of this false American e- exceptionalism and forget.
Right.
And he chooses to, and we all know that he's a horrible person. And thank God Joe has called it out the way he sees it. If nothing else, Joe will be honest, I do believe,
Yeah.
with us. And to say that, and then to have Mike Pompeo tell nations that America doesn't is exceptional, and that I just what we have seen
No.
is
Yeah.
just mind numbing as far as that goes.
Mike Pompeo came out and said America is not multicultural.
Right.
Get it.
A multicultural narrative does not belong in the United States history. Right. And I hope they all burn in hell. Is anybody with me on that one? Should we have them all burn in hell? Heidi, you're religious. You think you can get a call into the big lady upstairs
That's
to
not
get
how
him?
it works.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm sure it goes
Then
under
what's the
all parents.
point? If you can't call in a favor, I mean.
It's not how religion works.
Oh, are you sure? Because I'm pretty sure the conservatives think that's how religion works.
Well, Republican Jesus riding
Is
a tank
different.
carrying an AK. Not the
Oh,
Jesus
that's-
I taught in Sunday school about.
There's a Republican Jesus. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah, don't forget Republican Jesus. because
And there's Trump Jesus too, from all those Q supporters who are convinced that Melania not having texture in her coat is a symbol that it's all going off tomorrow.
What? Wait a minute. Go back and tell me about this. What?
Sorry, it's off topic, but it does tie into the stupidity and insanity that we've lived with. That the Q supporters saw Melania's farewell address to the nation, and because her jacket had no texture, it was a smooth fabric. It wasn't like a tweed or a houndstooth. That was a signal to them that tomorrow is on, I guess. Yeah. This is the kind of crazy we're going to have to talk about in the future.
When I was a kid, Murray, we used to, when we would go through O'Hare Airport to fly somewhere, and this is in the 60s and early 70s, my parents told us to stay away from the Hare Krishnas, which they always would have like orange sheets on, like as a serape or a
And they would
sarong,
pass out the flowers and ask for
flowers,
donations and yep.
yeah. And they told us to avoid them, and I'm thinking I would rather, and I don't think there's anything wrong with Hare Krishna. I think if that's your religion, that's just fine. But I think that these people are kind of in that, like Charlie Manson, Jim Jones, severely brainwashed. I told you I heard something on the Daily this morning, which is a podcast that I listen to every day, about how people are only getting their information from one source, from Parler, from Breitbart, from, whatever. And they have no, the reality is shallow and wide for them. It has no depth. It has no roots in reality. And trying to get them to understand that they need to expand. But that's the reality world dimensions that Trump lives in and that he's trained these other people to live in, and it's really hard. And I told you, I said, I see so much reality star, the Kardashian era that I think we've been in. And now that show is coming to an end and Kim and Kanye are going the separate way, and I can't even get into Trump and Kanye. I mean, I just can't even. I cannot. And Lil Wayne, oh Lord, it makes my head explode. Because he has nothing in common with those people. And if you ever watch him interact with Kanye or Lil Wayne, he doesn't touch them. He never touches them.
We know that he's the giant racist in chief, and he is
Oh,
horrible. And I hope one day that those who didn't see that through understanding and education and deprogramming will understand. But while there are some awful things, I don't want us to get too down, because there's some funny ass stuff that happened.
Well,
which from windmill cancer.
We start with to spray tans and comb overs. Good God, in big suits. It's like having a clown.
It was.
For 4 years.
He was truly like a clown for 4 years. And, and it's not funny because he did so much damage, but at the same time, I think funny, laughing about it was all we could do to survive. So tomorrow starts a new chapter. Are you so excited about tomorrow?
I am. Wednesday's one of my biggest work days, so I'll be working all day. But I'm going to try to take a break and watch the inauguration. And
I'm taking the boys off of school.
Yeah.
The boys are going to get out of school early to watch it. I know, right?
But we have at 11 o'clock or 10:30, we're going to sit down in front of the TV and watch the Pomp and Circumstance, and watch the swearing in. And then by noon our time, I got to get to work. But I'm truly, truly excited about what's to come, about everything that our country has to look forward to. Biden was not as progressive, not our pick, but a solid choice.
I have been very satisfied with what I've seen so far. And, we're progressives, we're Democrats, but we will call it like we see it. We'll make sure that we say, hey, this isn't right. Or it's crap.
Oh, yeah.
Whether it's on either side of the aisle. Heidi and I are not afraid to do that because we've been and we've seen both sides. But I think it's going to be kind of cool to have a very new tone and a new tenor and really have policy instead of talking about throwing paper towels at people surviving a hurricane in Puerto Rico. We will be discussing the validity of immigration policy, giving all DACA residents immediate green cards. So there will be differences in dialogue, but it will be a beautiful thing. And so thanks for the laughs, Trump.
Yeah.
That's all I got to say about you.
I want to have slow news days. I'm looking forward to those. I want to be able to go to sleep at night and not wonder what I'm going to wake up to the next day. I had to change the settings on my phone because it used to blow up in the middle of the night when he would drop. What do they call it? Dropping a tweet. He'd be on the toilet in the middle of the night and start tweeting. And my phone used to start blowing up. And then I stopped following him on Twitter. And that helped quite a bit. But then people tweet him like, don't give him any platform.
Oxygen,
yeah. So, but I'm so excited to see what.
I'm so excited to see a tan suit be a giant faux pas again. I wonder. Joe will probably say the wrong name or say million instead of billion, and it'll be talked about on Fox News for 3 days. But thank the good Lord that he doesn't think windmills cause cancer and that forest floors need to be raked. So for whatever y'all think, Joe doesn't believe that. So hallelujah.
Yeah.
Well, thanks so much for tuning in, guys. We hope we gave you a little bit of humor, ending out 4 years of absolute insanity and hell. So we wanted you. Hopefully, we don't have another twit. Let's keep that, unless it's like a jail twit, where all the times he gets convicted. That would be a good one too. But thanks for tuning in. Join us every Tuesday and Thursday live on Facebook at 3 o'clock. And you
Right
can
here.
catch all of our other episodes everywhere you get your favorite podcasts, YouTube, Demcast USA, and Heartland Mamas.
MAMAS.com. See you later, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.